Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Fat Boys Dynasty podcast, coming at you live on the Fantasy Holics Podcast Network. I'm Bo. That's Brant. We've got a pretty exciting episode today. I always get excited talking about trades and trade candidates and guys to trade for, Brant, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about mainly on this show is some guys that we think maybe their best days are still ahead of them, and other guys we want to get away from before the fallout happens. And so we're gonna do some buying of the dips and selling of the peaks. And I don't know about you, Brant, but when I start talking about buying the dips, I start thinking about what chips go good with what dip. And I'm a French onion kind of dip guy with a sour cream and cheddar Ruffles. It's like my go-to. But I also like me some buffalo chicken dip. And I don't know why this episode had me in my inner fat boy, but it sure did.
Well, you're inner and out fat boy.
Yeah.
Mine is I'm a salsa guy. I love me a little salsa. And I love the queso dip in the crock pot always gets me going. Those are two of my favorites. But yeah, definitely dips. Dips are yummy and delicious. Okay, back to football here before we start rambling on about food, because Lord knows I can do a cast about that one too. Yeah, buying and selling trades. You know me. I'm kind of waiting for the trades to come to me. I don't normally go out and seek them. So this one's always a little harder for me. It's fun to talk about. I love hearing your insight on some of it because I'm not the biggest of trade guys. I feel like my research in and out has done me well in it. So I don't like to make moves. I normally don't go seek them out. Normally I do talk to you about a lot of my trades. Unless, of course, we're trading with each other, then I can't, because you're like, that's a great deal. That's a great deal. You should do it. Smash the accept. I'll do it for you. That's how you'd be. That's why we don't trade with each other much. But yeah, this is always a fun episode to talk about. But let's get into it, and let's get it.
If I'm not mistaken, Brant, and I could be here. The first ever trade we did was Sony Michel for Miles Sanders. Was that correct? Sony Michel, Miles Sanders several years back.
Yeah, I think later that year we ended up switching them back to.
I believe we did. And then our most recent trade was Jahan Dotson and Devonta Smith for DK Metcalf and Wan'Dale Robinson. So we've come a long way in our trades with each other. They just don't happen very often.
Right, absolutely. I think all the years that may have been maybe our sixth total trade ever.
If not less.
Yeah. But let's get our bibs on.
Let's go eat some dip. All right, Brant, before we get into the excitement that is this buy and sell episode, there's some injuries that took place this week that we kind of need to touch base on. Tell me if you're panicking on any of these, how you're feeling on them. We'll just start with the top. Again, these are only the fantasy relevant ones. Justin Herbert has a high ankle sprain, left the game, didn't finish that contest. Austin Eckler came down with a concussion Monday night. He's already been ruled out for week 4 with it being a Monday night concussion. Devonta Smith had suffered a concussion. He's in the protocol, has a chance to play. Adam Thielen hamstring, I believe, was placed on the IR already. Trey McBride in the concussion protocol, and Sam Laporta with a lower ankle injury, Brant. How are you feeling on any of these? Any of these that are super concerning to you? Any of these that you're like, none of these might mean anything?
Thielen, if you were starting him, I'd be worried a little bit coming back from the injury. Older wide receiver. The one that really got me panicking is Herbert. High ankle sprain, could linger, hard to push off of, could linger all year. So I'd definitely be worried about him and those pass catchers there. Could be a rough time for him going forward.
If you're a Justin Herbert owner, are you rushing out to grab Taylor Heinicke? Are you like this? I gotta get it's the offense. I gotta have part of that, or are you like there's got to be better options out there?
I feel like there's got to be better options out there, except for in the super flex. Then I'm rushing out to get him, but I feel like there'd be better options out there.
Okay. All right. Also worth noting, Skylar Thompson is out this week as well. I'm sure there's not a whole lot of folks out there riding the Skylar Thompson starting arm. It sounds like it's either going to be Tyler Huntley or Tim Boyle as the starting quarterback in Miami this week.
Huntley is always a little sneaky to grab up if he's available in super flex leagues, as he is pretty decent when it comes to the rushing upside. We've seen him have some good times, so that's not a bad little pickup in super flex, especially if you're struggling for a quarterback start.
Yep, absolutely. All right, that sums that up, Brant. Let's get into these buy sells. What do you want to do first? You want to buy or you want to sell, Brant? Walk me through it. Which one do you want to go? Where you want to go?
Let's sell them all first. Let's get rid of them so we can free up that room for our buys.
Okay.
I'm selling at the peak. I'm selling Dallas Goedert. Last week was a phenomenal week. He became the number one tight end in fantasy. We talked about it last week on how atrocious the tight end spot is. So this is a guy that I'm selling off on. He had a breakout week. AJ Brown's out. We saw Devonta Smith get hurt. And maybe you try to hold him one more week, but I'm selling him now at the best time because if he doesn't break out next week, if he is the one who gets all the coverages, then, you're going to be standing there with what am I supposed to do? When A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, we saw it last year, Dallas Goedert isn't as efficient as he used to be. So I'm selling him right now after this huge breakout week that he had.
Yeah, Grant, I'm not necessarily a huge fan of Jalen Hurts as a passer. I think he's great for fantasy. I don't know as though he's great for passing. If you go look at some of his passing metrics in years past, it's definitely not been super great, but it's hard to argue when he also adds 15 rushing touchdowns. So I don't know how I feel about being attached to Goddard season long, especially when AJ Brown's healthy. Devonta Smith's looked good this year. You've got Saquon Barkley catching passes out of the backfield. That would be one that would be kind of nerve-wracking to me, and I kind of understand the caveat of wanting to move him, Brant.
Absolutely. Sorry, the neighbor decides to mow today, so it's coming across. Absolutely. This offense is Hurts has been, like you said, great for fantasy, but it's been struggling in the passing game this year. So absolutely getting away from one of his pass catchers could be a good thing.
All right. I'm going to start with my first sell, Brant, and it's Devin Singletary, who's currently RB 17 right now. And it's one of those things. Why would you sell Devin Singletary? You guys on the Fat Boys talked about how you liked him this year, and that's true. I did like him this year, Brant. What I don't like is seeing a running back's usage go down. Devin Singletary in week 1 had 70% of the snap share. Week 2 was 79%. Week 3 was 68%. In all of those 3 weeks, rookie Tyrone Tracy's snap percentage has gone up. He is getting more touches. Currently, Devin Singletary has had 42 carries this year for 197 yards, rushing, 2 touchdowns, 10 targets, 9 receptions, 58 yards. Brent, what I worry about, one, is this offense has gone to I don't know as what I ever would have said this, but it's more of a pass-centric offense than what it was when Saquon was in town. Obviously, Devin Singletary is no Saquon Barkley.
Right.
And so I worry that with Tracy coming onto the field and Singletary coming off of it a little bit, the volume's going to go down a little bit, and it's just not sustainable because these touchdowns will fall off. He won't be getting the receiving work. I'm nervous about Devin Singletary, and right now, Brant, I'm going to ask you some names. You tell me who you'd rather have. Tajay Spears in a dynasty, Tajay Spears or Devin Singletary?
Spears.
Xavier Legette or Devin Singletary?
Xavier Legette, you're about to see a breakout with Adam Thielen going to the IR, so I like Legette.
And I'm going to get you to choose Singletary here. I'm almost certain of it. Christian Watson or Devin Singletary?
Devin Singletary.
Okay, there you go. Those are the guys that are around the same area and value as him, Brant. And so straight up trades right now, that's what you're looking at. Now, I'm not saying the Xavier Legette, Tajay Spears owner is going to do that, but it'd definitely be worth exploring because in a dynasty, those guys have a decent shelf life, whereas Devin Singletary is probably nearing the end of his shelf life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not a big Watson believer. I know you are. That's one reason it would take a little bit more for me to go after Watson. My next sell is a guy that has been phenomenal. He's seen 20 touches over the last 2 weeks, and that's Zach Charbonnet there for the Seattle Seahawks. He's seen over 20 touches in both weeks. That Walker's been down, but Walker's coming back. I think you have one more week without Walker. If I had to guess, judging by practice reports and everything else, I think you have one more week where Walker sits, and then at best you're going to get a committee. That will be the best case scenario with Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. So he won't be seeing 10. She won't be seeing 20. You maybe 12 for him and 12 for Walker. And that's best case scenario. Get rid of him before that bottom drops out. I feel like you could probably get a decent little haul because running backs are so expensive or so hard to find. So you find somebody that maybe the Kenneth Walker owner would give you a good haul for him. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, in our league, I do own both of them, so I'm not getting anything out of him. I mean, it is a fortunate thing. It just, if it does wind up a committee with how good Charbonnet's been, neither one may be startable, but maybe you can get the Walker owner to pay a little bit for him, a little bit higher price for him.
Yeah, and I know that's been something that was discussed, between you and I when Charbonnet was drafted to Seattle, was what happens if these guys are both good enough that neither one of them startable in fantasy, because you just never know who's going to have the boom play based on their touches. I do think it's going to be more of like a 65-35 split when Kenneth Walker's healthy. He looked too good in week 1 to not get a lion's share of the carries, but I could understand why you'd want to sell Zach Charbonnet. And again, if Kenneth Walker's out this week, that Kenneth Walker owner may be getting desperate. This may be the time to capitalize and go, hey, here's your guy, here's your handcuff. Now you don't ever have to worry about this again in the future. And you get to play Charbonnet this week and not have another L because of Kenneth Walker not playing. So
right.
I get it, Brant. I get it. All right. This one's gonna, I think, gonna catch some reaction out of you, Brant, because we've talked about this guy. It's a guy you and I actually tried to acquire in one of our leagues that we co-own a team. I'm selling Khalil Shakir, Brant. Currently wide receiver 17th. Apparently, I just have a problem with the number 17 because that's where Devin Singletary was in the running back world. Complete fluke. But it wasn't necessarily what Shakir's done. It's kind of where his value's gotten to me is the big thing. So again, in my eyes, Brant, I really kind of like those guys that have the high volume. They're out running a lot of routes during the week. Like their chances of reciprocating and duplicating these weeks in and out is more than less likely. Khalil Shakir, week 1, 53% snap share. Week 2, 69%. Week 5, 55%. Again, it's really hard to replicate these numbers when your consistency is not there as far as being on the field. Here's the other kicker, Brant. You want to talk about, just being an odd season this year. 14 targets for Khalil Shakir, 14 receptions, 158 yards, 2 touchdowns. Again, how does that hold up over the course of the season? Obviously, he's not going to catch every ball thrown to him. So if he has a game where he only catches maybe 2 of his targets, what's it going to look like? Well, here's the kicker, Brant. When I start telling you the things that you could have instead of Khalil Shakir, I'm thinking in a dynasty, you're not going to turn down any one of these. Khalil Shakir or an early second-round draft pick in the 2025 loaded class, Brant.
I think I'd take the draft pick right now.
Okay. Trey Benson or Khalil Shakir?
Trey Benson.
And this one I don't think you're going to hesitate on like you have the others. Khalil Shakir or Scary Terry McLaurin?
Going Terry. That offense looks too good. I'm a Daniels believer right now.
Again, it's they're all right there together. And it's like I said, Khalil Shakir, I was kind of like, looking at it, trying to pick the second guy that I wanted to talk about. And it was like, that I don't know how long that's reciprocal or duplicatable. How long is he going to be able to keep this pace up? And then I go look at the names and it's like, Oh yeah, I'd much rather have that and that and that and that and that too. So yeah, we're selling Khalil Shakir, Brant. We're shipping him on out of town if I'm the roster owner.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's get into these buys and talk about some of these buys. And my first one is actually a guy that's wide receiver number 9 right now. And the reason I have him buying on the dip is this team just had an offensive explosion with the backup quarterback in Malik Willis. I'm buying Jaden Reed. You saw what he did in week 1 with Jordan Love. Jordan Love has an outside shot of playing this week. Week 1, he played 72 snaps. He saw 6 targets, 138 yards. We know Love likes to push the ball downfield. Then you get week 2 where you had Malik Willis, 2 targets. Malik Willis struggled. Then you have this explosion that are we really expecting to see week in and week out of Malik Willis having this kind of explosion against – they played the Titans who aren't the greatest against the pass to begin with. He had 6 targets. 4 receptions. This guy is a guy that finished last year as the wide receiver 23 or 25 in a PPR league with Jordan Love, playing 16 games. He's a guy that Jordan Love looks for looks for when he gets into trouble. He's one of his favorite targets. And mind you, he's only on the field. This is another point to try to buy him low. He's only on the field for roughly 60% of the snap shares, which means he's off the field quite a bit. So this is a reason to buy him, but they move him all over the formation when he is in and everything else. So there are plenty of buying points that you can sell or points to make to the seller on why he should buy him low right now. He's tied to Malik Willis. You're not sure when Jordan Love's going to come back. How's he going to come back? He's always first receiver off the field, but this is a guy that Jordan Love does like getting the ball to.
Yeah, so this is one that I kind of struggle with, Brant, because I am getting to that point where I like that consistency, and he did go for 40 points week 1, 7 points week 2, 13 week 3. So this is a guy that I think definitely misses Jordan Love, and I wonder if you could have bought him in a panic haze when people were like, "Who's going to be under center? Malik Willis?" Yeah, I don't want that. I've seen that before, but. Jaden Reed being able to get 13 points. Granted, he missed his projection both weeks, week 2 and 3, but getting close to his projection last week with Malik Willis would make me, salivate, I would think, at the thought that Jordan Love is coming back. I guess the counterpoint to that would be, maybe it is Christian Watson this week. Maybe it's Dontavian Wicks this week. Maybe it's Romeo Doubs this week. I guess that would be how you sell that to an owner. Let me take that hassle off your hands for you. Let you go worry about it. But I will also say, you brought up the fact that he's wide receiver 9, and it didn't necessarily feel like buying the dip. That was all week 1. He was probably like wide receiver 1 or 2 after week 1, and it's gone down every week. If he has another week of 10 or 12 points, it's going to be a little bit lower. So this might even be one that you buy next week, Brant.
Yeah, 53 and 42 were the last 2 weeks. He was wide receiver 1 on week 1.
Yeah, so there you go. So yeah, it's still buying a dip, and again, you spin that to the respective seller potentially as, hey, look how inconsistent it's been. Yeah, that 40-point week was great, but when you started in week 2, how did he do for you? And maybe you're able to go get him at that point. Now I'm going to bring up Jaden Reed in just a minute, Brant. So you told me your buys and your sells before the show started, but I don't know if you caught this. I did not tell you yours because I wanted to get your genuine reaction to these guys. I'm buying this year instead of selling DJ Moore, Brant. I'm buying the dip on DJ Moore. Last year, I advocated for selling on the peak, and that was not anywhere near the peak for him last year. I got ridiculed on that one pretty good. I'm getting myself on the right side of these tracks this year. I'm not taking no verbal abuse over DJ Moore. Listen, this is the kind of wide receiver I want to go get, Brant. He's currently wide receiver 29. Week 1, 88% snap share. Week 2, 99%. Week 3, 96% snap share. Listen, I know Caleb Williams has not looked great to this point, Brant. You and I have made fun of plenty of coworkers for that. We live deep in Bears country here where we're at. And listen, we've had our fun with the Caleb Williams poking the bear thing. He's only going to get better, right? DJ Moore's still only 27 years old. It's going to cost, I think, a pretty penny to go out and get DJ Moore, but this is a guy like he's going to get the targets. He's going to be the number one wideout in that offense. Rome sneaking up. I understand that. Rome had a touchdown, but this is DJ Moore is still the guy in Chicago to own, in my opinion, Brant. So far on the season, 28 targets, 19 receptions, 157 yards receiving. Here's the big issue and why DJ Moore is only at wide receiver 29 right now. 0 touchdowns. That will not stay that way over the course of the season. Now, again, the interesting part about this, Brand, is he's tied to a rookie quarterback, and we still don't know what we're going to get. So if somebody's got him as their wide receiver 1 or their wide receiver 2 and they're not seeing the production they want, and maybe they don't dive super deep to look at the snap count and the routes run and, the target share, maybe they go, I think I would take a gander at something here. Who would you rather have, Brant? DJ Moore or Travis Etienne?
It's like DJ Moore. Travis Etienne has not been the greatest this year. He's been back and forth. Bigsby see him more times, so I'm taking Etienne.
Okay. How about DJ Moore or Zay Flowers, Brant?
That's another one. Inconsistent scares me in that Baltimore offense, so I'm taking DJ Moore.
And last but not least, Brant, DJ Moore or Jaden Reed?
I'm taking Jaden Reed. That one I am.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I look at the stats last year if you look at the time last year with Jordan Love to end the season over, I think it was the last 6 weeks, 7 weeks, he had one game, not counting playoffs. I don't ever count playoffs like wild card or divisional rounds because you things are different there. The last, I think it was like 6 to 8 weeks of the season, he only had 1 week under 6 points or under 10 points. I know what I'm getting with that. So Reed is my guy. Caleb Williams is I got to keep it PG, so he's dog doo-doo right now. So I love DJ Moore, and you took a lot of grief from me with the DJ Moore take, but I like Reed, I like the connection between him and Love, what they have, and so I pick Reed.
So Reed's best finish last year was wide receiver 4. That same week, DJ Moore was wide receiver 3. I can't get on board with you here, Brant. I know there's a lot of options in Chicago. There's a lot of options in Green Bay, but one of these guys is on the field 90% of the time. The other one's on the field for about 50. And for that reason, I just cannot get on board with you here. Last year, I probably would have been on board with you. I learned my lesson. I will not bet against DJ Moore moving forward. I would love to get some people's opinions on DJ Moore or Jaden Reed. Maybe we make a Facebook post out of this because you and I are usually pretty copacetic on most things, Brant. I am not on pace with you with the Jordan Reed over DJ Moore thing.
Okay. So my next buy is a guy in an offense with a whole bunch of banged up wide receivers right now. So I'm going to go get him. He's still the best option there. But right now he's getting blanketed by the best target. That's Brandon Ayuk in the Niners offense. He had 10 targets last week in a game where they in a game against the Rams. We had 5 receptions of the 10. Debo, CMC, and Kittle all banged up, missing time. Brandon Ayuk is the number one guy right here. When everyone comes back, he still, I think, is going to be the number one wide receiver. Yeah, we saw John Jennings ball out this past week. We know that's not going to be. Now, here's where the dip's going to come. This is why you got to buy in the dip. This is why I'm telling you ahead of time. Start your trade conversations now and wait till next week. He plays New England and Christian Gonzalez. He's going to be shadowed probably by Christian Gonzalez. I know Gonzalez isn't the best safety in the league or best corner in the league, but he's going to have probably a down week. It'll probably be another Juwan Jennings week here and a lot of Mason. So I think the dip is I think the lowest part of the dip is coming next week. So start those conversations now. Brandon Ayuk is at probably one of the lowest values you could ever get. You could probably trade away and end up making this guy your wide receiver 2. And whenever he's putting up wide receiver 1 numbers.
Okay, that one I won't take as many issues with, but there. So, one thing we haven't talked about yet today, Brant, is buying a running back, and I'm going to talk about one right here that I think is buy worthy. I don't know how I feel about the offense necessarily at this point, but there's some things that I think are going to unfold over time that'll make this pick or this guy worth buying. It's Jerome Ford of the Cleveland Browns, currently running back 24, Brant. Okay. I see the look on your face. Okay. You're out on the whole Jerome Ford thing. I could see that right here. Let me try to see if I can get you back in, Brant. So currently 29 carries, 145 yards rushing, 1 touchdown through 3 weeks, 13 targets, 10 receptions, 58 yards. Okay. Here's where I could kind of have some issues myself. Week 1, 75% snap share. Week 2, 44%. Week 3, back up to 79%. Here's the thing, Brant. Last year, Jerome Ford was pretty darn good to own. Kevin Stefanski was running and calling plays last year. This year, not the case. Okay, I think that changes because this offense has looked stagnant. I think Kevin Stefanski takes back over play calling. Here's the other thing. Through the first 3 weeks, these Cleveland Browns have had 3 of their offensive line starters out. Okay, those guys are coming back shortly. This offensive line is going to generate a pass block that's going to, or a run block, excuse me, that's going to allow Jerome Ford to find some holes. Nick Chubb is still on the IR. I'm not necessarily worried about that. Even when he comes back, that leg injury was so gruesome, I'm not sure he ever plays football again, Brant. Again, when I tell you the names that you'd have to give up to get him, I think, again, it gets to be more intriguing because as a contending team, the pieces you're giving up aren't going to hurt you, okay, as far as what you're getting back, okay? So as a contender, Brant, Jerome Ford or a late second-round pick next year?
As a contender, I guess I could see him being a bye week spot start, so I could give up a late second round to be, to keep him as a contender.
Okay, which of these 2 running backs would you rather have, Jerome Ford or Javonte Williams?
Say the name one more time.
Jerome Ford or Javonte Williams?
Oh man, that's tough. Just because I like Williams. As a contender, I think I'm going to go with Ford just because that offense should get a little better. And right there, you're looking at 2 bench backs.
Okay, and last but not least, Jerome Ford or Jalen McMillan?
See, this one's tough. As a contender, I'm probably keeping Ford. I would really consider this one because I think McMillan has huge upside and futures in a dynasty. But as a contender right now, I think I'd have to keep Ford and ride
Trade.
with him.
Buy Ford, not keep. We're buying.
Yeah, buy Ford.
So as a contender,
I don't know if I would ship Jalen though.
So if you were a contender and you had Jalen, would you ship him in order to bring back Jerome Ford?
I don't know if I would. I'd have to look at my depth because I think that's more of a depth add, but I really like McMillan moving forward. So I think I would try to hold that one and possibly look for another option.
Okay. And again, bear in mind, it's not been great right now for Jerome Ford. He's still an RB2 right now. So you could do much worse with that being said. So it's kind of that argument. Do you want to keep a wide receiver 6 or 7 on your roster for a running back 2? And I understand they're in fantasy as of late, that wide receiver has been more valuable than a running back. And I understand in dynasty, you got to look towards the future. I'm trying to win now, damn it. So I'm going to do what it takes to win now. And I guess Jerome Ford probably wouldn't make a lot of sense to trade for if you were like an 0-3 roster right now,
right?
Through 3 weeks. But if you're 3-1 or 3-0 and maybe 2-1, maybe you're survived the Christian McCaffrey injury somehow to this point because wide receivers are blowing up or something, then maybe Jerome Ford makes some sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, Brant, I think we got one last order of business to conclude here. Are you ready to get into these underdog promos?
Absolutely. Let's get our underdog on.
quick shout out to the graphic guy, Jay, who does all the work for the page, because that promo for Underdog, Brant, makes me want to go get my wallet right now to go put extra money on Underdog, just because it's got such a good beat. And, I always find myself jiggling along back here behind the scenes.
Absolutely. I do too. Always jamming along, especially on that Sunday morning live on Sunday morning live at 10 a.m. Eastern time, 9 a.m. Central. Join us and you can see us bobbing along with some of that beat. Definitely get in there on Sundays. We love going over our Underdog picks on Sundays. We've had a pretty good year this year on Underdog, especially with the option of that flex play where you can, if you get 4 out of your 5 legs, you get a nice little, decent little payout. You don't always have to go negative.
Absolutely, because if you're like me, Brant, and on the other sites, you always put that 5-leg parlay in or that 6-leg parlay in, and you always hit 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 6, and it's that one that you're like, but if I would have just cashed out, you don't have to worry about that with Underdog, right? It does it for you. If you hit 4 out of 5, you're good to go. You're
right,
getting
absolutely
the change back. I think if you hit 3 out of 5, you get some change back. So it's that flex play definitely makes it for people like me who don't have super deep pockets, right? Who's like, I'm gonna go do this to make the game a little more interesting. I don't come out grumpy when I go look at my Underdog.
Absolutely.
All right, Brant, take us through yours.
My play for Thursday night. Now, this is my play for Thursday night. It's Wan'Dale Robinson, higher than 33.5 receiving yards. He's hit it in 2 out of 3 games this year. Every time we see Dallas do this, we're going to blow this team out. We're going to suck. We're going to blow this team out. We're going to suck. Well, I think we're on that. We're going to blow this team out. So that makes the Giants going to have to throw the ball a lot. So I'm going to go with Wan'Dale Robinson to go higher than 33.5 receiving yards. He's also the number 2 guy, so he won't draw the best coverage there in Dallas. So I like Wan'Dale to go over or higher than 33.5.
Okay. All right. I listen, I still have lots of shares of Wan'Dale Robinson. Just because I traded you one of them in my favorite league doesn't mean I don't like Wan'Dale. I'm all for the 33 yards. He's definitely been looking good. Daniel Jones, I mean, last year he was like the worst quarterback we'd ever seen. And all of a sudden it's like, I figured some things out. It's called get the ball to Malik Neighbors as often as I can and sprinkle in a little bit of Wan'Dale Robinson. And it's working out well for the Giants. They just won last week. Coming off of that, coming into a divisional game against a team that's not been playing as well at this point. But you know what, Brant? I'm talking a bounce back for the Dallas Cowboys this week, a get right against a divisional opponent. And that's going to come through the way of CeeDee Lamb. I got CD to go higher than 80.5 receiving yards. And I know that's a scary number. It's like, man, that's 80 yards is a good week. Not for CD this week. He's going double that. I think he's going to get force-fed the ball. They're going to say, yeah, Malik Neighbors, you're great. You're cute. You're a rookie. Sit down and watch what this guy can do, right? I'm excited for this game, Brant. I'm trying to really, really, really hype myself up, and I think I'm doing that right now. But I'm looking for this to be anything you can do, I can do better game between CeeDee Lamb and Malik Neighbors. And at the end of the day, I'm going to give the nod to CeeDee Lamb because, yes, Daniel Jones has looked better this year. Dak Prescott is still good and looked great last year and has looked that to this point so far as well. I'm riding with CeeDee Lamb over 80.5 receiving yards.
Absolutely. I do not mind that play at all. This is just a matchup we're going to see for years to come between Neighbors and Lamb. And so, one of them's got to put his best foot forward in week 1 of it. So I do think it goes to the savvy veteran in
all right.
CeeDee Lamb.
So like you mentioned, Brant, we'll be back live Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern time, 9 a.m. Central time. For those of you on the West Coast out in Brant's favorite area, Seattle, it'll be 7 a.m. for your time. And I'm not sure I'd want to wake up looking at these ugly faces, but if you do, we'll be here.
I'll have coffee on me.
Probably on you and in you. So
absolutely. So I think that wraps it up for the show. Once again, join us live on Sunday for all your start sits. And as always, stay hungry
and stay fat, my friends.